We all have that coworker we need to not send the first draft of the email to. But what if the coworker is literally possessed by a demon? Hi, my name is Dakota, and this is Upper Pen. I interview an author or other book person every week, so if you enjoy this conversation, please consider subscribing. And today I am talking with Mackenzie Reed about I Hope This Email Finds You in Hell, which is out September 1st. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to chat about it.
So, first off, the title is baller.
Thank you. My pride and joy, honestly.
So for folks who've not yet heard about the book, what is the elevator pitch?
Yeah, so I hope this email finds you in hell is about a stuck in the mud grieving receptionist who catches her boss performing an exorcism on Deborah from accounting, discovers he's a demon hunter, and then joins him on a road trip to the literal underworld to save their emotional support coworker, the world as they know it, and they might just fall in love on the way.
There's a lot going on, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, like how many things can I stuff into this book that I love, basically?
But it's such a quick read too. It doesn't feel like it's slogged down with anything, so like that's pretty fantastic in my opinion.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that.
So the book is about two coworkers going on a demonic hunting road trip. How did this start? What was the idea behind this?
It honestly came about in such a whirlwind because I'm a young adult author and I really never thought I would like vary from that. I kind of never even thought about writing adult books. But one night when I was scrolling Twitter, RIP, I got caught in the like memes of this is how your email finds me. And I just had this like lightning bolt of the phrase, I hope this email finds you in hell. And I am a big title person. Like, I don't often write a book until I have a title I feel like good about. And sometimes, like, my book ideas kind of come paired with titles. So it's like, as soon as I had that idea, I was like, this feels like the title of a book about a receptionist who catches her boss performing an exorcism. And then from there, it just kind of spiraled into this like quest slash action adventure. And I took a lot of inspiration from some of my like favorite nostalgic shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Supernatural. Like I grew up like loving paranormal and Teen Wolf. And so it kind of just came about in like the craziest way. And I remember messaging my writing group the night I thought of it. And I was like, just stay with me. Like, is this crazy? And they were like, no, you have to write this. And then once I realized it was about a boss and receptionist, I was like, well, it definitely has to be adult. Like, I can't, make it a young adult book. And I'm glad I did. Honestly, it was so fun trying a different avenue.
The the book is really interesting because it doesn't have like super overt funniness to it, but it does have funny moments,
Yeah, thank
which
you.
seems difficult.
Yeah, it's funny because when we were talking to different editors about how to position the book, some people were like, "Oh, this is a rom-com." Some people were like, "This is urban fantasy. This is romantasy. This is paranormal romance." And I was kind of just like, "Yeah, I don't know." I just kind of like I feel like the humor comes from Bree, who is our main character, because even though she's grieving, I think she has a little bit of like a morbid sense of humor, a little cynical, but it's so like centered around her and just like the absurdity of her situation. So yeah, it is whatever people want to call it, honestly.
Labels are very unhelpful in my opinion because
Yeah,
nothing fits.
I'm a genre smasher. I've done it with my young adult books and I'll keep doing it forever for better or worse, probably.
Um, So Bree is kind of an interesting character because she is traumatized, and usually what happens is I don't tend to believe everything that these traumatized victims are thinking and doing, and they usually
Mhm.
become unreliable narrators, but she doesn't really feel very unreliable.
Mhm.
So what kind of person is she in this book?
Yeah, I feel like really her trauma is like so deeply linked to this very specific event that really didn't happen that long before the book starts. I think it's only been not even a year. So she's kind of, I think, still in the like process of grief where she's a little bit in shock and just like running from it as fast as she can instead of like sitting with it and letting it form her decisions and like I think there is literally a piece of her that is like, I would rather go to hell right now than stick here and still be like trying to get through day-to-day life and pretend things are fine and normal. And like now she sees this horrendous situation of her boss exercising a demon. So she not only has like the past trauma of a specific accident she was in, but then she's also like, oh, great, demons are real, and I'm just supposed to go to work now. So, yeah, I think she really deals with it in like a very unconventional way. And also, I think she's somebody who doesn't think too far ahead. She's really just trying to survive. Like, that is the baseline.
So as physically attractive as Luke was, like is in the book, I don't know that I would immediately trust him to be like, yeah, like road trip to hell. Uh,
Yeah, and honestly, he doesn't want to bring her. He is very much like a lone wolf. And then it comes about where they do have to go together, and he's just kind of like, "Ugh." But I think Luke really needed somebody to make him open up, and I think Bree is the perfect person for that journey.
she also needs him too. Like he seems to soften her in a way.
Yeah, I think she's so, again, like she's been running for so long. She's so used to being on her own. And that's like her biggest motivator for going to hell is she's trying to save like the one person she has left, which is her best friend. And I think like through her time with Luke, she kind of starts realizing like, whoa, I don't want to be alone anymore. Like I don't want to keep running. And they kind of meet in the middle.
When I first started it, I wasn't sure what to expect, and then it is kind of a road trip book, which
Yeah.
I guess I should have gotten because there is a car on the cover.
I didn't set out to write a road trip book, so it just kind of happened.
When you're trying, well, I guess if you're not expecting to write the road trip book, how did you end up putting them on the road and then that being kind of the space they're in?
I think for me, I knew I was more thinking like it's a quest book and they are gonna travel across hell to find, this favorite coworker of theirs. And then it's like once you have these like little pinpricks of idea, then you have to flush them out. And I'm like, okay, well, how are they getting there? Like, I know they're getting to hell by train. Like that was always from the very early stages, like a big sequence I was excited to write. But I also knew at some point they had to get off the train. Like it couldn't just be a one-stop trip. And so from there, I was like, well, they're going to need a car. So I guess that's kind of when it started taking shape to be a road trip book because I was like, all right, I feel like, they're going to have these stops across hell. They're going to meet some individuals, learn some things, and also learn a lot about each other.
How difficult was it to not make it the car from Supernatural or
So hard. And it was so funny because I tried really hard, like in the book, not to make it the same car, but then the cover art
I
made it very
noticed?
similar. And I loved it. I was like, honestly, yes, I go for it. Like a lot of people have messaged me since and been like, I love that it's a supernatural car. So I was like, let's just lean into it. Because that was a huge influence for me. I was such a like, and I was such a Dean girl, which I think really like comes through in Luke.
He is stoic like Dean, you know?
He has a bit of like a eldest brother quality to him.
Um, it seems like this fall is kind of the time for these kind of monstery office books. And I assume you did not start out thinking, oh my gosh, I need to write something that's going to be very popular in 7 months or 9 months or whatever.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I really wrote this book on like a hope and a dream. I had pitched it to my agent and I knew it was so, I mean, my young adult books are like thriller mysteries, they're contemporary. And so I knew pitching something and being like, yeah, so it takes place in hell, but not like normal hell, it's corporate hell. So thankfully my agent is wonderful and she was just like, go write it. Like this sounds great. And she did say like this is a great time for these books because at the point when I pitched it, Allie Hazelwood's Bride had just come out. And
Ooh.
again, that's a book that very much has like the paranormal rom-com kind of vibe to it. And we've had some other like really great urban fantasy books come out lately. So I was hopeful, but I also was like, I'm writing this book no matter what, and I'm having fun with it. And that's what I did. And thankfully it worked out. I've never, all of my other books, I tend to write like, I love like summer, but this book felt so distinctly spooky. I was like, it has to be a fall book. It has to take place in the fall. It only feels right.
It does feel like it should be a fall book. Maybe it's the demons.
Yeah, I it's and that's like there's a little bit of like a horror aspect to it. And even though it's like camp, I guess I'd say, again, it just felt so perfect for spooky times.
When you were initially writing this, because you started with the title, what kind of drafts did you go through? Did you rewrite this at all and like pull stuff that didn't make sense?
Great question. I never thankfully had to do like a top to bottom rewrite, which I have had to do before. So thankfully never that. And like Bree and Luke, they definitely grew from draft to draft, but they stayed very similar. And I would even say like the road trip stop stayed pretty similar. I think the biggest thing that changed and just needed like a lot of refining was two things actually. The romance arc, because this was my first time writing a book where the romance wasn't just a subplot. Like it kind of is, but like it really carries a lot of weight. And like I love romance, so I wanted to be able to lead with the romance when marketing. But if you're going to do that, you want to make sure the book follows through. So it's funny because when I write romance, I'll be like, they looked at each other like, ooh, and my editors would be like, can you give us a little more here? Like, and I'm like, what do you mean? They looked at each other. So that was just something to realize, like, things might translate one way in my head, but sometimes you have to like over accentuate it a little bit when it comes to putting it on the page. And then the other part was the not like the very end, but I guess kind of like the climax to the end. That got kind of a big rewrite because we changed some things. So those were kind of my biggest pain points, but honestly, this whole book has been so fun. None of it felt like work, thankfully, which I felt very lucky about.
Sometimes in romance books, I don't always see the romance between two people unless there's a third person being like Chris in this point of view where she's telling Bree, he looked at you 20 times today. Like clearly he's into you.
And Bria's like, yeah, it's because I know his secret and he wants to make sure I don't blow it. Yeah, totally.
So I think those side characters really do help sell romance in a way, especially when it's not the primary
Hmm.
driving force.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Chris is an interesting character, but you take her away immediately.
Yeah, again, like trying to figure out, I knew they had to get to hell somehow and trying to figure out why they're getting to hell. And you come to learn that, there is this veil that separates the worlds. And if it tears, it will create literal hell on earth. And they know we have to get to hell. Bree's real mission is I just care about my friend. Like, I'm here to save my friend. But Luke knows there's something bigger going on, and then Bree naturally gets wrapped up in that.
I suppose I asked about Bree, but I didn't really ever ask about Luke. So, how does he play into this story? Like, what does he do for Bree and moving the plot?
I think Luke carries a lot of guilt internally, and I can't share why, but I know you know, but and I think in his head, he's kind of like, I am the demon hunter, and a demon kidnapped Crystal and these other women that got kidnapped. And it's my fault. Like, I am the one who was supposed to stop the demon. So I think he is a big motivator where he carries a lot of that guilt and knowing that something's wrong, knowing that if this demon is successful in what he's attempting with these kidnappees, I think a lot of it just rides on Luke's shoulders, whether it really is or isn't his fault. And then I think he becomes protective toward Bree because he realizes she could be next. And even though like he starts off being like, oh, she's a pain, like blah blah blah, I think secretly like he's always kind of felt a way toward her, but he never really thought he could ever act on it because he didn't think he deserved it. And he's also her boss at the beginning of the book. So there's that too. He doesn't
Which
stay her boss for long.
they do address it very quickly that, bosses are off limits, but then immediately he's not.
Yeah, it's funny because there was a little bit more like boss office humor throughout the book. And then we always, of course, want to be really careful of like power dynamics and things like that. And, I was kind of like, well, they're in the office for probably like four chapters and then they do not return to the office. So I think it's safe. But yeah, I think it's still in Luke's mind. He would have been conscious of it because I like to think he's a good guy.
So I always kind of think outside of the immediate story, this would have like larger implications across the world. And like, are there other demon hunters? Are there other like big, um, the big baddies?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I loved writing this book because it kind of let me open the world and this idea of like there's hell, there's ways to get between the overworld, which is our world, and the underworld, but it's not like common knowledge. So I definitely have other book ideas that take place in what I'm starting to call the Helliverse, which is this kind of universe where hell exists. But it doesn't have anything to do with Luke and Bree. They're different characters, different demons, and all that. So I can't wait until I get to talk about my book too, because even though it's not a sequel, it definitely kind of plays on the same mechanics.
I genuinely love when we don't stick with the same two people for book two because then I get to see one more of the world, but two, I don't feel like their relationship is immediately in danger of like having to go through drama.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm always a big believer of like if I'm having like a series, let's say, I I feel like most of the time the characters, can't end up together or whatever at the end of the first book and so I was excited just to plan out more honestly more hellish like book ideas. It's been really fun. There's so many hell puns out there.
Ah, yes. I do love the puns though. Like I think this is part of the humor is it's kind of dryish because it is an office-ish setting.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that was fun because I took inspiration from the literal Office show, especially for the Office scenes. And again, just, the dysfunctionalness of it all, I think a lot of us have unfortunately experienced.
Yes, yes. There's certainly coworkers that I have someone else read my emails first.
Yep. Yes, I have been there.
And it's not like I hate them truly. It's just I say things more aggressively than they would appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like Brie is the opposite of that, where she's like, okay, I'll put like five exclamation points just so people know I'm not mad. And then they send back like dot, dot, dot. And she's like, "Ugh."
The very first chapter is her deleting the email she originally wrote to Deborah, being like, I need your shit right now.
Yeah. 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 Because like, what's more frustrating than, not being able to do your job because your coworker isn't doing your job. And then you find out your coworker is actually possessed. So it doesn't even matter, does it?
I keep going back to the beginning because I do truly love the first probably 5 chapters as they're starting to get to the road trip because it sets it up so wonderfully, like so funny and like I get a good vibe from all of the characters. Like I kind of understand where we're going.
I love that. I'm so glad to hear that because beginnings are so tricky to me. So being able to, and it's hard because it's like you create this sense of normalcy and then you immediately take it all away. So it's like, great, I just did all this work for what?
I also like the discovery phase that a lot of beginnings have, especially in this book, because Bree sees Deborah being exercised, and then she immediately goes home and does Google research.
I mean, wouldn't you?
But how much time did you end up having to spend Googling?
A lot. I actually spent so much time Googling like demons because I really wanted hell to be like a catch-all. Like it's not just demons, it's like mythological creatures, it's monsters, it's just like everything you've ever seen in a horror movie is down there and hopefully not up here. And so I just would always, anytime I kind of had to think of like a new character or whatever, I'd be like, all right, like how do minor demons work? How do major demons work? Greater demons, learning all the demon hierarchy was a lot.
Was there anything that you decided was just going to be off limits? Because, like, you can get pretty deep into the weeds with some of this stuff.
Definitely. I kind of not so much I not so much something off limits. I think for this book specifically, I wanted to focus on like more just paranormal. So like vampires instead of not that werewolves don't exist in hell, but instead we see hellhounds who are basically the devil's like bodyguard slash hunters. So I thought they were like a really fun kind of way to twist like the common hellhound, but still incorporate almost like a werewolf-like character. And then we do see like a lot of demon and demon-esque figures and then just monsters. So one thing I didn't, not because it's not in hell, but I just veered a little bit away from like Greek mythology just so we could focus on again, like the paranormal vamps and kind of like classic paranormal, I guess I would say.
It also fits the vibe much better than I would say Greek, because Greeks is much more like tragedy or,
Yeah.
and this is not that. This is someone
Mhm.
has created corporate hell and we have
Yeah.
to go get our friend.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it felt a little easier just to keep it a little more targeted for this book.
Was it difficult writing? Because normally you write for younger readers, but this book
Mhm.
allows you to include things that you would not include for younger readers. Was it difficult to kind of like retrain your brain to allow those things?
Yeah, it actually was because I'm so used to censoring myself when it comes to like, I mean, some of my young adult words do have swear words in them, but I'm more like considerate about it, I guess, and intentional, I would say. Whereas with this book, it just was like lawless. It felt like I could do anything, I could say anything. And obviously like the biggest difference too was again the romance. And when we first sold it, it had like kind of like a steamy scene, but like, not like too steamy. And then it was my editors that were like, like we really love we want more. Like I think readers would want more. So I had to be like a grown up and be like, all right, I'm gonna write my spicy scene. And now that I've written one, I am unstoppable. So that was definitely my biggest learn. I feel like the bigger learning curve is being like, oh my God, like people are I know are gonna read it, but I fear that's just a canon event.
Yeah, but I don't think that this is an unusual.
Yeah. Yeah.
The US is very strange to me because we're very prudish, but also very not prudish. And like,
Right.
I don't
Right.
know where the
Right.
line is ever.
Right. Ever. And I feel like it definitely wasn't like the first spicy scene I'd ever written. Like I've written fan fiction and stuff like that. But I think knowing it would be like published in a book, I was like, oh, this is suddenly scary. But now that I've done it, I'm like, yeah, let's do it again.
I think I would be absolutely terrified to have other people read it until everybody'd read it, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, I'm just like not gonna bring it up and they'll either read it and think what they think and I think mostly I really only think about that in terms of people like I know in real life, like family. I'm fine with people on the internet. I'm like, yeah, you have a good time. Um, but yeah, I think as long as I get over the hump of being like, ooh, my family is gonna read this, then I'll survive.
You can just tell them what chapters to skip.
That's what I tried to keep it, 2 chapters so it'll be easy to skip.
I love that you did include a love story, though. Even though I do have this feeling that most love stories that start in extreme terror do like, how do they survive once it's normal?
Right, yeah. No, that is so fair. And that was a huge thing that kind of also influenced how this book ends, which I can't dive into, but
We're not
you
talking about
know.
it.
Yeah.
You said that you want to do more in this world, though, or you have ideas at the very least.
Yeah, definitely. I just love hell, I don't know. Am I okay? Probably not. But I had so much fun kind of like in this world of like demons and monsters that even if a book isn't like in the underworld again, I definitely still want to stay with the paranormal because I think there's just so much fun to be had. And I honestly think we're in like a wonderful time for paranormal. It feels kind of like a renaissance to me. So yeah, I'm gonna try and stay here as long as they let me.
I love funny hell scenes in any book. This is like one of my favorite things ever.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
Um, so when the book is coming out, this interview releases 2 weeks before the book is out. So, are you doing any kind of like signing events or any kind of tour?
Yes, yeah, I am so excited. We put together a really fun tour. So I'll have my launch event kickoff actually the night before the book comes out, August 31st, on Monday here in Rochester, New York at Book Culture in Pittsford. And then I get to go to Boston and do an event at Love Struck Books. And then I have a couple other events spread out throughout September. But yeah, I feel so lucky that I get to travel. Like that's always been my dream to like go on a book tour. So I'm having a very like Hillary Duff moment where I'm like, this is what dreams are made of.
Very Lizzie McGuire.
Yes, very Lizzie McGuire.
But that's got to be super fun because I would love to talk to people about books all day.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a dream. I have some signings, but I love the conversation events because I get to be with like other authors and just being able to chat about books like we're doing here. It's just my favorite thing. It's the best.
Um, if you wanted to let the audience kind of know one thing about the book or something to expect, is there something that you want them to know kind of going into it?
I think I always just love, people knowing that like it is a fun book. I think it's fun at least. And it does deal with some heavy themes, like, they're both actively grieving, especially Bree. She has a lot of like trauma lingering, and while I definitely tried and kept, a little bit light between like the comedic timing of things and whatnot, it definitely has some bigger things. So just to keep that in mind, but hopefully it all balances out okay.
I think you did great because it doesn't feel too dark and it also doesn't feel like a comedy.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad it rides the line perfectly.
I think it's these absurd moments, right? Like the pairing of Hell in an office, Deborah being smashed in the head with a stapler.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I always find like it's got to be super difficult to write funny moments because I'm not a very spontaneously funny person.
Yeah, I'm not either. It takes a lot of thought and sometimes several drafts before I'm like, oh, she's hitting her with a stapler. Like that makes sense over like a fist, you know? Like a stapler is way more funny than a fist. So yeah, it definitely sometimes takes a couple rounds.
Do you have a social media presence or somewhere that people can follow you?
Yes, I would love that. I am most active on Instagram and TikTok, and on both accounts, I'm at Mackenzie Reed, and I also have a Substack.
And apparently you also have fan fiction somewhere that
It's dying with me. Taking it to the grave.
I love that some publishers are pulling ideas from fan fiction sites, but also like I don't want anybody to ever see anything I've ever written there.
Same. I've like thought about it, and I actually haven't written like anything recently. So when it happened, recently anyway, but I've thought about it and I'm like, how funny would it be if like a publisher wants to publish a fanfic and then they find out the author is already a published author, and it's just and yeah, like I said, I don't think that would happen to me, but I know there's a lot of us out there, so it could happen to someone else.
I was talking to Rebecca Thorne like a month ago maybe, and she mentioned that she's been on AO3 since it launched. So
Wow. Yeah, no, I've been there a long time because I was on fanfiction.net like
yeah.
back in ye olden days. So yeah. It's been crazy to
Um,
watch the rise and fall of things.
yeah. I really want a like AO3 style tags for books instead of genres.
Thank you. I think, and this is kind of like a whole different side tangent, but sometimes I wonder if that is why I have such a hard time sticking to one genre because I never used to have to do it. So it's like, now when you have to be like, okay, well, what is at least like the most prominent thing in it? I'm like, well, it is paranormal romance, so like, I suppose we'll call it that. But yeah, I would love to just be able to be like, here's the book. Please read it. Here's the pitch. I hope it speaks for itself.
I will tell you, I saw the title and the cover and I was like, "Oh my God, that's a book I'm going to read." So I think you did good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for reading it.
Are so you said you're going to be on tour, but are you going to have a local bookstore that has some signed copies of your books people can order?
Yes, I actually really recommend everybody ordering from Burn Bright Books. It's my local independent owned bookstore, and I'm actually doing a really cool pre-order campaign with them where anybody who pre-orders gets a signed copy, they get an iridescent motel keychain, a postcard, a sticker, and also one of those like vellum art print that you can slip inside the book. So I would love to funnel pre-orders toward them.
I forgot that was your pre-order campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have the little keychain here and I'm just like obsessed with it. So
Oh, pretty.
thanks.
I love the vellum inserts too. Like this is a beautiful idea.
I had never done them before, and I was talking to a friend of mine who did them, and she was like, "Yeah, like we're seeing them kind of gain popularity." So I ordered a bunch of them, and now that I got them, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love it!" Like, because most of the time when I get art for books from authors, I do like keep it in the book just because I like having the full package. So yeah, having it like right on the page is so fun for me.
Um, so the book is out on September 1st, and is it getting an audiobook release?
Yes, I think the audiobook will also be out September 1st along with the ebook. I'm not 100%, but I think so.
They usually release together, so I'm assuming if there is an audiobook, it'll be the same time.
Yeah, yep, we just picked the audio narrator, and I just got to do like send some. There is a part of the book that is a bit of like a tune, so I got to kind of send my thoughts for that, which was fun.
Oh my gosh. So did you help pick then, or was it just somebody like the publisher picked?
Yeah, it was a really fun, it's been a fun process so far. They reached out to me and they had a couple different narrators in mind. And then from that list, I picked, I kind of like chose, my order of them. And then they confirmed they could do it. And then the most recent thing I got was they gave me a list of words just to double check like pronunciations. And again, they wanted for the lyrics I had written in the book, they were like, "Do you have a tune in mind for these?" And I was like, "Oh, do I?" So I got to like record me awkwardly like speaking into the silence and send that back. So yeah, I can't wait to hear the finished product.
Tell me your recording is going to be on your TikTok or your Instagram.
I could. I still have it. I hadn't even thought about it. But yeah, now that you say that,
Do it.
Okay, thank you for giving me content ideas because I'm always running out. So
I think that would be
incredible.
so fun.
Yeah, that is a great idea because I could totally post that out of context and like, it's not really a spoiler. So great idea. Thank you.
You could even post it right after the book comes out. There's no spoilers after, right?
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I'm like, everybody needs to read it the day it comes out so then I can talk about it.
It's hard to talk about books when you've read them so far in advance because nobody else has really read them around me, and I just get so
Yeah.
bummed.
Yeah, well, and also that's how I feel writing it. It's like I want so badly to know if like the twists hit and everything, and it's just waiting until thankfully now people have read it and come to me and we've talked about it. So I've been abated a bit, thankfully.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was such a lovely conversation, and I'm so glad you loved the book.
I did indeed. The book again is I hope this email finds you in hell, and it is out September 1st, and people can get signed copies from what bookstore?
Burn Bright Books. And if you visit me on social media, it's linked in my bio. So, of course.
Perfect. Um, so if anybody listening or watching has enjoyed this, next week we are going to be hanging out with SB West about and talking about their new book, Morfran Dark Lord Reformed, which is going to be a weird parallel to this because it's it's about an evil Dark Lord, but not a demon. So
I'm excited for that one.
it's very fun. Um, So until next week, I guess I hope everybody has a lovely, lovely day. Bye.